Yeah, you know what? I also struggle with French grammar. I studied French for 6 years through primary school, secondary school, and I dropped it before GCSEs because of moving schools and certain stuff which happened. The main reason I dropped it and the main reason I haven't been so willing to learn it as I was with Spanish is because of the grammar. I always thought that French was extremely difficult grammar-wise when learning it in primary school and secondary school. It is very difficult compared to Spanish. I feel Spanish is so simple. In Spanish you say, ¿qué es eso? What is that? Whereas in French it's qu'est-ce que c'est? And it's like really confusing. There's too many small words, too many different conjugation stuff which come into French with a pronunciation and everything. And sometimes your head just wants to explode. But luckily, there is some hope. This is the best app for learning French grammar, for getting past those stages of what I don't understand is how am I ever going to memorize this, and getting to a point of being able to fluently use grammar in your speech, understanding how it works, and not having to think through the grammar of what you want to say before you say it. So I've been studying French for 3 months since restarting learning it. I started to learn it again back in the summer because I'd already learned Spanish for about a year, and I thought maybe I want to learn French just to like add it to my tally because I feel like English, Spanish and French are 3 very important languages. So I decided to learn French and I struggled with the grammar again. However, I was looking for grammar apps so that I could improve my grammar, thinking maybe there is an app which just explains things a bit. Maybe it just goes into a little detail. It teaches me a bit of the past and future tenses without having to work through 96 lessons of a course on Rosetta Stone or Boozoo or whatever to actually get to a part where it teaches me the past tense. Most language learning apps which do coursework, which take you through a language course like that, it takes you probably quite a few hours before you get to do any past tense, future tense work or any advanced grammar which you may need for talking on a more fluent level. So originally I used to go on and on about how good these course apps are because they're very good vocab builders, they're very good at teaching you sentence structure and everything. But it does take a while to work through them and get to a point where you know the grammar without having to think about it, where you can just speak. That's the thing I found with Spanish. I didn't exactly think about it at the time, but with Spanish it took me a long time to get to a point where I was using grammar naturally and not having to take 10 seconds to think about the grammar in my head, if you understand what I mean. It was only really when I got to an advanced point in certain courses on different apps learning Spanish that I actually got to do the grammar and covered it thoroughly. And I'm not saying those apps are bad for teaching grammar, they are very good. I like Rosetta Stone because it teaches it in a very natural way. They do teach grammar well, but once you've completed grammar lessons on those apps, you kind of just move on in the course and you don't really come back to them, and then you feel like you'd be repeating stuff you've already learned if you come back to them, etc. And I just was hoping there was an app where you could learn grammar, you could just check up on it, have a couple of lessons which don't actually go down as completed sections in a course, which is like a dictionary for grammar, if you know what I mean, with the puzzles which come with courses, for example Boozoo and Babbel, etc. And I came across this app on the App Store called Dr. French Grammar. This app is worth £5. Honestly, if I could go back and pay for the app, I'd probably pay about £15 to £20 because that's what it's worth. When you load it up, it just says Dr. French, enter keyword. So if you enter a keyword, let's say passé composé, it instantly comes up with different sections involving your keyword. So indicative mood, passé composé, how to conjugate, how to use future time adverbial. And then it's got the different levels for the different lessons which you're doing. So it's got A1, B2, etc. And you can also search for lessons depending on your level. So if I put an A2, comes up with lessons for A2. But if you go through the lessons, you get to the bottom of the lessons. After reading, they have every topic within French grammar within the language. So whatever you need, they will have it. But the best thing about it is, once you've read through that lesson, you've maybe understood it a little bit, but you're but you have the problem which a lot of language learners have when they read through websites like that. Maybe you understand it, but that doesn't mean you've learnt it. You might be trying to use a sentence in a week which uses the past tense, and you 90% of the time won't remember how to form the past tense from just reading through an article or two a week ago. So this app has included in the bottom puzzles and quizzes to consolidate your learning from reading through the lesson. So you go into a puzzle, and it's a bit like Duolingo, a bit like apps like that, the course apps, but it has the advantages which I've already explained. You choose words, you put them together in a sentence, one after the other, you form the sentence, you press submit, it tells you whether you're right or wrong, and then once you finish the quiz, it gives you a percentage score, which is good because you are consolidating what you're learning, you're putting it into use, and if you keep doing that, it will get ingrained into your brain, and eventually you'll get to the point where you won't have to think so much about the tenses when you're speaking. For example, if you want to say something which happened in the past, you won't be thinking, oh no, present tense verb, take away the end, add the ending in the past. Wait, what was the ending in the past? You won't be like that. That won't happen. You'll just know, oh yeah, past tense, it'll be easy. Another thing I'd like to say which is very good is the layout of the app. I like the kind of drawn style in the background when you load up the app of the Champs-Élysées, and then the text is quite cool. It all has that very French vibe, and then you can choose either lessons or homework. Simple tap, and it loads up this section with a list of all the different parts of the grammar. So it's very simple to use. You just go down, you find what you want, you either enter the keyword or you can search through the categories. So the layout is very simple, which is a positive. What I'm saying is that it's very good that they have this quiz in, because a lot of the websites which you read online don't have these type of quizzes to consolidate what you've just read through. But there are more effective ways of helping you remember things than just those simple quizzes, which the courses do have the upper hand on over this app. For example, they have pictures, they have more advanced, for example, spaced repetition techniques. They have a lot of different types of quizzes, etc., which help you to put things into different situations and use everything and gradually build a tower by putting block after block on top of the other until you've got it in your head and you can use it fluently, etc. This app lacks that. Although it consolidates what you've learned, the thing it lacks on the course is the depth and the effectiveness of its learning techniques. Now, I don't think this is such a problem if you are doing it regularly. If you're regularly going onto this app, you're reading through the things, you're doing the quizzes, you're learning it, I think you'll be able to keep up with everything fine. You won't forget things. But I feel like if you are doing other stuff, you like watching films to learn vocab, for example, and you're working through vocab builders, if you aren't doing this regularly, it could be a problem, as it doesn't have those remembrance scientific methods in it. As I said, spaced repetition. I just feel like with a little bit of enhancement on the way the quizzes work, I think that'll really, really help the app. But that isn't taking away from the fact that it is very, very good that the app has these quizzes in the first place. So just to summarize those points, I feel it is very good that this app has those quizzes to consolidate the lessons which you read through just beforehand, which is an advantage on other apps and other grammar sites. So if you are looking for a grammar site, a way to just learn grammar without much vocab building, etc., this app is amazing for that. However, in competition with courses, whether you can learn grammar just doing another course and whether this app's actually necessary, I think do get this app, because it takes a lot of time to work through courses and a lot of time to build up that grammar when you could build it up much quicker using this app. But you have to do it regularly, because I don't feel their memory techniques, their ways of teaching you the grammar in a way to make you remember it in the long term, I don't think that is very good, and that could be enhanced a lot. Price, it is very good if you're buying a course and you're trying to learn grammar through the course as well as everything else on the course. That can be about £90 a year depending on which one you get. Other ones could be only about £50. But that is very expensive when you can buy this grammar app for £5 for a lifetime and get cheaper vocab builders to go around it to learn the language. Also, I think this app goes into a lot more depth over certain parts of grammar, how it teaches you it, how the grammar is used, whereas the other apps are more for conversational purposes. So therefore, if you're really trying to learn a language, this app has advantages over other ones because other ones are focusing on other things as well. So this app is definitely cost effective with only £5 and you'll have it forever. And it has helped me gradually understand parts of French grammar, which I never understood and was completely confused about before. So I highly recommend this app. I highly recommend you go and get it. £5, super cheap, get it now. If you're also learning French, let me know how you're getting on in the comments. Let me know if you're having the same problems with grammar, etc. as I have had over the years. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in my next language learning app review. Goodbye.